Good evening, friends. Thank you to the elders that are here this evening. Before we get started, we'd like to pay tribute to those elders, people of parent descent and the Bounty mutineers, so the 12 Tahitian foremothers and the Bounty mutineers, not mountaineers, sorry, mutineers. This has been a long time in the making. It's 2.5 years since Mark and I moved to Norfolk Island from sunny tropical North Queensland, and we were looking for a cooler subtropical environment, which hasn't worked out all that well for us today. Before we get going, I'd just like to say that there's been so many people who've actually contributed to making this evening work, and we'll do those thank yous later. I'd now like to introduce to you Audra, my husband, Mark Terry, and please make him feel welcome.
Welcome. Isn't this overwhelming? If those that know me well, I feel profoundly uncomfortable with any type of attention, but this is really quite humbling, very beautiful, and thank you for being here this evening. It means the world to me. The Norfolk Poems is about Norfolk, for Norfolk, about everyone here. It's 2.5 years of my life, and I just feel deeply grateful and deeply blessed to be able to be part of this community and to live here and to share my heart with you. I've written these poems, but it's not really about me. I'm going to say very little this evening. That's why I've chosen some very, very special people to do the readings, because it's their voice. Poems are alive beings in and of themselves. So I'm just going to get out of the way and let them speak and do their work. And I'm hoping this will be a safe space for everyone this evening, and a memorable time, and just enjoy the words and the magic of poetry and the magic of Norfolk. Thank you. So the first poem this evening is the Song of the Phantom. And who else to read a bird poem than Christian?
Lovely to see everybody here. We're really fortunate to have Mark and Mary Beth, of course, because Mark's seeing, as he said on the radio the other day, I've heard, he's putting a mirror up for us to see ourselves, and it's very beautiful. I'm not the performer in my family, so talking about people being awkward, we're good on that together. The Song of the Phantom. Birthed from a womb of spider silk, of moss, bark and fibre, a small plumed tenderness descends from the sylvan tabernacle to dance around my body. Feathers humming over forearm, tail fanning a grey halo to crown my longing.
This tiny minstrel trills the tinkling song, the sound of interiority, one pure note that the river runs. The singing blue-green music flowing forever forward to us as the voice of starlight, the harmonics of eternity. A playful invitation to drink from the ancient wells of innocence, to place a memorial for the birched abbey of childhood. My outstretched arm is the branch you will not rest on, my hand the nest where there are no young, my finger the twig, the silent space between where the white oak trembles in the breath that follows. Shadows fall under wing as I lower my arm. Your goodness flying away from me is the quiet air left to hold in my hand.
The next poem is called Norfolk Lights, and as I said, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to let Wiggy talk about this next poem.
Good evening, everybody. All right. Yeah, my nickname's Wiggy. Not everybody knows my real name. I'm an ex-whaler. I whale here, Byron Bay, and Great Barrier in New Zealand. Now, Mark has asked me to touch on the old system of the whaling. That's why I brought these models along, to sort of put you in the picture, because not a lot of you will know anything about it. And it just makes it a lot easier for you to see and hear. Now, I'm going to be very brief. This model here goes back to the old whalers. It was a very dangerous operation. The men in this particular boat were very brave. Crewed by 6 men. Now if you can see the line running down through the top there, if they had a 40-foot whale on the front of this boat, they had to spread the load right across the boat. By doing that, the line went to a bollard in the rear. 2 turns was not enough, 4 turns was too many. Now, it would take up to 8 hours to dispatch an animal with this particular craft. I'm not going to be too dramatic about it because it might upset people. But that's how it was during the era in that time. All the world was doing it, right? Now, when I came on the scene, this is the craft we used. The other one was 6 fellas in it. And that line running down through the top on that one, the men were sitting either side of the line. It was this high. Very dangerous. Now, that harpoon I bought there, that's the harpoon they used. The men who applied that harpoon to the animal had to be very strong, because he had to pass that harpoon through 10 inches of blubber. And that's how it was. Anyhow, when I came on the scene, this is the craft we used, only crewed by 2 men. 3.5 to 4 minutes to dispatch an animal with this boat. The animal never got to suffer like the other one. Now, way back in the early days with the other one, the men would go out and if they got caught, say halfway through the day, they took a whale, darkness would come on, and they would light fires around all the cliff tops, so the men could see where Norfolk lay. And I've been out in Norfolk only that big. Well, some of these fellas, they would get towed right out over the horizon, and it would take sometimes 3 days to get back. They must have navigated by the sun and one thing or another through the day, but the lights were lit on the cliff tops for them to see where Norfolk lay. Now, so now I'm going to recite this poem to you. The title is Norfolk Lights. Now, here we go. Water, a black glimmer of boot and boat, cuts from a wave on a splintered deck as shattered mist falls below, and the whalebone, the ghosts that lie deep beneath the caverns of the deep, calling us back to shore. The glimmer of a harpoon sleeping in a blistered hand. The whale that carves a face under a hooded sky. Rain like 1,000 black nails that hails and rails against arm and oar, tail and lung, deep after deep, softly after the burning oil crafting fires from the blowholes in the flesh of memory, the whale song that cries out to sea. As we, with ghostly voices, come to the line and bait that follows the deep waters of the grief, as we, looking to the bonfires in the cliffs, the lights calling us back to shore. So sing us home, sweet song, sing us home. For within the arms of Norfolk is found and remembered all forgotten homecomings, all goodness, all in all, calling us back to shore.
Reading. The next poem is entitled Mrs. Waterson's Dream, which is about one woman's dream. She dreamt about a young woman called Rachel who arrived in 1856 on the way shuttle. Here to read it tonight is another woman called Rachel, called Senna.
Inside this precious book is the heart and soul of a truly remarkable man. He's a master wordsmith. He's probably one of the most humble people I know, a very sensitive man. But what he does with words renders me breathless. His stunningly deep imagery is incredibly evocative, and it's bone deep in its insight. It truly lays us bare because Mark Tarrant happens to be one of those very rare human beings that truly sees us. He's absolutely fearless with his words. He understands the bittersweet of our story, and so it's his words are both raw and fine, and he has this innate ability to simultaneously be expansive and incredibly economical with his words. And I absolutely salute you, Mark Tarrant, because honest to God, every time I read your words, I am floored. For those that may not know the backstory of John Evans and Rachel Adams, John Evans, as a very young man, jumped ship on Pitcairn because his eyes are stick for Rachel Adams, who were, and footnote on here. Rachel Adams was the daughter of John Adams and Vahinia Tuam. And 2 nights before the Pitcairners arrive in 1856, there's a little caretaker party here on the island. 17 of them, 9 of them are convicts. And Mrs. Watterson has a dream, and in her dream she sees a large-boned, dark complexion, quite handsome woman, and from her dream she even knows the woman's name. And so convinced was she that that woman was going to be on the Morayshire, that when the 8th of June 1856 rolls around, she makes her way down Pier Street. And when she gets to the steps of the Civil Hospital, there sitting, resting on those steps, was a woman from her dream. So it's a really special poem, this one, and I love it because our community has always been one of deep faith and strong believers in the omniscient and the omnipotent, things that are beyond sight, but that tie us together and take us onwards beyond this life. So Mrs. Watterson's dream by Mark Tarrant. God, you can always rely on me to cry, can't you? It's like hi the Suki Lala. Okay. Mrs. Watterson's dream. Inside the edges of her dream, in the stone-walled world across the sea of sheets, she stands beside her. She has fallen away from the branch in the moon and lives beneath the face of sleep, where she holds the shape of light within the silent migration of her heart. Her journey is now complete. She has come from the border of passing clouds to inherit the kingdom prepared for her from the foundation of the world. When her small hands were water, when sleep was a prayer, when her hair was a spiral staircase that cascaded over the night sky between the stars, inside the edges of her dream, from the foundation of the world, she stands beside her. Beneath her bare feet are pine needles and basalt, dark pebbles underwater, those incomplete stones of the past and the beginning. This is the curtain raised in the theatre of her memory, in the eye of Mrs. Watterson's dream. Rachel's face is now framed by her unrelenting purity, the innocence of the journeying one, the lamb that the Norfolk winds has guided home. Her hair, now the night sky, her eyes, now the white turns, her hands returning now as water, her grief now as ours.
This is how Mrs. Watterson found her, seated on the steps of the convict hospital at the father's right hand. They shared soft, unbidden words of the memory of things we destroy forever. A small shared sacrament never to return to that part of us, inside the edges of her dream, from the foundation of the world, before our hearts were broken.
Amen.
The next poem is entitled The Sacred Sky. It's Canto 1 of a poem in 2 cantos. And who else could possibly read a poem about the Tahitian and for the Tahitian colonists? And Kath and Jodie.
Hey, Jodie. What do everybody? Good on. Mark, thank you for the honour of asking me and Norfolk to come and show me his poems. It's a real honour for Auckland. And for you too, Mary, thank you very much. And Donna Marie Alkawa, is it on?
Sweet.
That one. Thanks, Donald. Well, mine's way louder than yours.
How loud is this one? I just haven't spoken yet.
Oh no, thank you for Auckland, everybody. And what a beautiful afternoon. You're so clever, Mark. All right. The sacred sky. Here, daughters, here is our breath.
It is not the wind nor the sound of a broken branch.
It is our gift.
The whisper of a falling star for you to hold.
Here is the white tapa.
We crafted it for you before the time of tears.
Wear it upon your sacred body as power and strength.
For the heavens fall at your feet now.
Now, beside your sleeping breath and your very last sorrow,
We beat the tapa,
with whalebone and wood, we sing your names,
forever moving backwards and forwards.
binding and weaving away and towards.
The echo we cannot hold. Here is the tiputa.
We crafted it for you, to protect your heart, for you are our glory.
Here is the red earth.
We have dug it from the sacred sky. It is our gift,
We place it on your womb and in your hands.
for you are the conscience of the earth. There are many leaves to mark your body.
Here are 12 leaves for healing, 12 stones in the pools of memory.
Sorry. Here, daughters, here are our names. They are our gift.
Our breath.
Mauatua,
Vahineatua.
te ehute atua o noa,
Te atua hitia.
tuwhaiti,
Te varua.
tera ora,
Te io.
oporai,
Mareva.
tina whanea.
Fa ahotu.
The sound you hear through the pines, it is not the wind,
It is not the wind.
it is not the wind.
That is why I chose to read that poem. Um, oh, it's me. Okay. I need a book because I can't remember my own poems. I just want to. This will conclude the evening. I just wanted, before I read this last poem, I just want to say a few thank yous. There's a mythology that this idea of a self-published book. There's no such thing. There's so many other people involved in it. I want to thank Jodie Williams for her exquisite and beautiful design skills. Yeah. And it was important for me to get this published on Ireland because I needed it to be part of the DNA of Norfolk. I needed it to complete the story. So I want to thank Tony and Richard at Photo Press because they've done an absolutely fabulous job. And it's a real art and craft, being a small press. I wanted the smell of print. I wanted to be able to touch it. I wanted to talk to people and my friends in crafting this book. I could have pressed the button on a laptop and pressed it, but it means a lot to me to get it printed here, and they have done a beautiful, beautiful job. To Donna Marie for this fabulous venue. It's just perfect. And all the work that they've done in, once again, in assisting us in setting all of this up. It's just beautiful. Thank you to Donna Marie. And also to Rachel, to Jodie and to Pauline Reynolds for their assistance in their vast knowledge, cultural knowledge, which assisted in my research before I was writing this work. So, last but certainly not least, to Mary Beth, who gave me the space, and I thank you, my dear, for your limitless kindness, compassion, and generosity to me and to everyone around you. So thank you. A new heaven. Words. In the salmon light of the setting sun, descend. Into the sea of azure and foam they huddle like floating monks across the horizon. They take tender flight with the breath and wing of the shorebirds, shudder in the eternal song of the grey fantail. Words travel in the transcendent light. They glide and fall through leaf and branch, the ever-shifting gold against the sea of the pines. They possess the aching hues that change the face of Nepean and Phillip Islands. They are the breath that arches back across the cliffs to the sheer nothingness of the ocean's brow, where only fathomless beauty and grief swim below. They inhabit the glorious wound of sunrise and sunset, gaze out beyond the edges of the island to the infinite that bursts in the heart tender elegies of longing, that ache of isolation, the soft bruise of melancholy, where we can hear our voices for the first time in the silence. Words are the artisans of my future. They craft my life each day as the voice of interiority. They are the soft notes I am allowed to hold ever so briefly in the quiet space beneath my hand. Words are formed to inhabit our dreams, give speech to our longing, a tongue for the open mouth of love, a nocturne for the quiet, giant heart. For as the sea returns to itself, so must we. I rise from my abandoned shore and follow the call of the rocks that split the hair of the sea foam. The sun is falling down behind the shoulder of Nepean, the dark face aching again in its fading hues. Above, below, and all around me are the ghost birds. They move with both quiet precision and abandon, dark stars that the sea flung to the sky. The pine trees creak and whisper like the skeleton of a lighthouse. The light is fading now, grey to black rock. Below the cliff's edge is the wet gold body of the sea dying in the evening sand. The fishermen are going home without a lighthouse, and I am alone in the mist-clouded heaven as the glory of the sea falls away in the tides of my hands.
Oh, my husband. It's all right for you, Kath King, you're a pretty crier. We just wanted to thank you again for coming along this evening and participating with us. We are very, very blessed indeed to live on Norfolk Island. We understand what an honour and privilege that is. We are the beneficiaries of not needing to go through the traditional owners to actually reside on this island. And we're sorry for that. We're deeply sorry for that. We'd like to thank Don and Marie again because, honestly, I've worked venues all over Australia and I've never had more help and support from a venue than working here, and I would recommend it to anyone. Thank you, Don and Marie. We'd also like to thank the flower bringers and the ice getters. Thank you, George. And thank you, Ken, for the flowers. And thank you, John and Marie, for this beautiful display. We'd also really like to thank again the people who've been involved with the production of this, because it really is a very, very beautiful book, which I'm hoping will travel all around the world. We only have printed 100 in the first edition, but I think that with the nature of it, I think that we'll be quickly able to produce another 100, I hope, because so many of the retailers have said that they would like to carry it. So thank you again. We have a buffet. If you can just give us a couple of minutes to set that up, we'd like to invite you to stay a while. Mark will be available to talk to you. Of course, I feel like a real book launch now. Yeah, and he'll sign it for you too, but that's an extra $5. No. So thank you again, everyone. I hope I haven't missed out on thanking anyone. Try the curried egg sandwiches. Patricia Buffett made them, and I can assure you they're the best in the world. So thank you again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the night.